Hey, didn't see you there. Well, that was pretty cringy now, wasn't it? Hi everyone, my name is Laura. I will be attempting a thru hike of the Appalachian Trail next year in 2023. I'm making this video because I often get a lot of questions from my friends and family about certain words and terms and slang things that I use when I'm referring to the trail. So I wanted to just make this video to be like one-stop shop of like certain words that I'm using and what they mean, so kind of like a thru hiker dictionary. The first word is Novo. Novo is referring to northbound hikers. It means that you're starting from a southern section like Georgia and moving your way up the trail towards Maine. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to start in Georgia, but it means that you're moving in the northbound direction. Typically, it refers to people who are moving from Georgia to Maine in one foul swoop though. Sobo is the opposite. It's when you're moving from Maine down to Georgia. A flip-flopper is someone who starts in somewhere in the middle of Maine and Georgia. They work one part of the section or one part of the trail and then they flip back up and flop the other way. So for example, in Harper's Ferry, that's about the mental halfway point, people say, of the Appalachian Trail. So people usually start there. They will start there, go northbound up to Maine, Katahdin, then they'll flip back down to Harper's Ferry and work their way down to Springer Mountain in Georgia. So it's a flip-flop. You complete the whole trail, but you're kind of starting in the middle. A section hiker is someone who does a section of the trail. They are not doing the full trail, they just are doing a certain amount of miles, but not the full thing. The next little section is Nero and Zero. Nero and Zeros, which I hope to be doing many of these on trail. A Nero is when you hike nearly 0 miles on the trail. So you're doing maybe under 5-ish miles, people say under 6 miles, somewhere a low amount of miles basically, and then you're stopping. So it could be you're stopping at a shelter nearby. It could be, most of the time it's referring to you're stopping in town, so that way you're just doing a few miles in the morning, you're stopping in town for the evening and having a relaxing day for the rest of the day, or maybe getting some town chores done. Zero is when you hike no miles. A white blaze is what I will be walking and following all the way from Georgia to Maine. So it's this little tiny piece of paint that is on trees and it marks the trail, so you kind of know which direction to go in as you're going along the path along the trail. A blue blaze is similar. It is a blue paint on a tree, but it's usually marked to do off trail. So for example, like the approach trail leading up to Springer Mountain is a trail marked with blue blazes, so little blue pieces of paint, and it's not on the Appalachian Trail, but it is marked similarly but with blue. Another example could be like if you're going to a blue blaze to go see a waterfall, for example. If you're going to go to Long Creek Falls, it is marked with blue blazes. Or if you're going to get water at a shelter, that would be marked with blue blazes. Soap blazing is a term that a lot of hikers will use if they are the first one out of the shelter or the campsite in the morning. Essentially, it's referring to you are the first one out of the shelter and on the trail that morning, so you are knocking down all the spider webs. A shelter is a usually a three-sided building, if you will, on the Appalachian Trail. They are strategically placed. I would say strategically. They're placed throughout the trail, basically for you to have a spot to go to if you need somewhere to sleep at night. Typically a lot of people will stay there because it usually has a privy, which is like a bathroom, and it usually has a water source there as well. A stealth site is another type of place where people will camp, and this is when referring to basically a campsite that's not designated by the trail. It's just you're finding a spot, a stealthy spot somewhere along the trail. And yes, you can tent at shelters and stealth sites. As I mentioned before, a privy is like a bathroom, more so like an outhouse type of situation. The other option for using the restroom is digging a cat hole. A cat hole is basically you dig, I believe it's 6 inches, if I'm not mistaken, 6 inches down into the ground, 6 inches wide of a hole, and you do your business, you cover it back up, yeah. The next one is bear box. So a bear box is basically this giant metal box that you stick your food in. It has like a latch, and it's supposed to have like some sort of carabiner or like a lock of some sort to kind of prevent bears from being able to get in there. So it's where you put your food at night. Another option that some shelters have are bear cables, which is basically a cable you hook your food onto, or your food bag onto it. You pull your food all the way up to the top, you hook the other end onto a tree, and then your food stays up at the top. So bears are not supposed to be able to get to it. Another common term you may hear me use is bear line, or throwing a bear bag line. This is referring to me throwing a cord up over a tree, and I'm actually gonna make a video about this in the future of me trying to do this for the first time, because I've never thrown a bear cord or a bear line. Essentially, you're throwing a line up in the air so that way you can't, or up over a tree branch, so that way you can hang your food at night and hopefully bears cannot get to it. Another common term you may hear me use is hiker midnight. I am a teacher, so I do go to bed pretty early, so I will be partaking in hiker midnights. This is referring to going to bed very early. Hiker midnight is usually around 8 or 9 p.m. It just depends on like when the sun is setting, but it's fairly early. It's not the usual midnight that we have here in normal society. Puds is referring to pointless ups and downs. So everyone talks about the Puds on the Appalachian Trail, how there are so many pointless ups and downs going over mountains, over hills. It happens a lot on the Appalachian Trail, I hear, so I'm sure I'll be using the word Puds in the future with probably not a positive tone. A purist is someone who wants to hike the entirety of the trail. Typically it's in one foul swoop, so they want to go from for me, I am a purist to a certain degree. And so a purist is basically someone who wants to start on one end and go all the way up to the other end. No section skipped, no inches skipped, no feet skipped, no miles skipped, nothing skipped, doing the whole thing on foot. Some people believe that means that you have to carry all your gear the whole entire time. I'm not that much of a purist, but I do want to hike every inch of the trail. So another common term that you will hear me use is resupply. Resupply is referring to going and getting more food or more gear items that you need, maybe resupplying on band-aids or food items that you need to bring out with you on trail. So you basically go into town, you get your resupply of food, your resupply of whatever you need resupplied of, whatever you need replenished, and then you head back out on trail, or sometimes you stay in town and then the next day you head back out on trail. Or sometimes, like at Neal's Gap, they have little stores that are actually on trail that you can stop in and then continue hiking on, like mountain crossings. A ridge runner is someone who walks along the trail and kind of maintains the trail, helps hikers on the trail, kind of just like surveys what's going on the trail. They're there to kind of help you and answer questions that you have, as well as, you know, kind of surveying, seeing what's going on at shelters and kind of making sure that everyone is abiding by the rules. A trail angel is someone who helps hikers along the trail. Trail magic is any sort of kindness that you get from another human being. So typically when people refer to trail magic, it means that you are getting some sort of food from someone. A trail angel could be, another hiker it could be, but typically it's referring to getting food. Trail magic could also be like a free ride into town, or you know, various things. A tramley is a trail family, so it's basically the people that are around you that you're hiking with quite often and that you get along with, hopefully. Trail days is referring to an event that happens in Damascus. It is kind of like a celebration of hikers, if you will. They have vendors come out, there's trail magic, there's a parade. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if I'll be participating because I might be pretty far up the trail and I don't know if we'll have the means to like drive back to it, but I think we'll be past Damascus by the time trail days is happening. So I don't know if I'll be using that term too much, but we'll probably still talk about it. So those are all the common terms that I could think of right now off the top of my head. If I come up with any more that are not in this video, I'll definitely share with my friends and family like what those words mean. If I forgot any words that you feel like you may use on trail or you've heard others use on trail quite frequently, definitely leave them in the comments and what they mean in the comments, so that way people kind of have something to refer to. Obviously, let's keep it a appropriate. I am a teacher, so we don't want any inappropriate comments here. Next week, I'm gonna be sharing my biggest fears for through hiking the Appalachian Trail. You know, I'm getting a few months out here. We're a few months out from me starting, and so, you know, the nerves are starting to creep up. I'm getting a little nervous. So I'm just gonna share with you guys my favorite, or my biggest fears for actually through hiking. We'll see how it goes. So definitely subscribe if you don't want to miss that, and I will see you all next week with my biggest fears. Bye.